So beginning on the Guardian newspaper this morning. On the Guardian this morning, Natasha court summoned Akpabio Webonyi for defamation. It's going to be an interesting summon though. Mother, sons, others arraigned for allegedly assaulting vice principal in Ondo States. Mother, sons, others arraigned for allegedly assaulting vice principal in Ondo State. I mean, if you remember that story about parents coming to the school to assault the vice principal just because the vice principal disallowed them to cheat in school. The son was actually hurriedly doing an exam, and then the vice principal refused them to cheat in class while the exam was on, and then they harassed the vice principal. And it's just so crazy how this is going. But I mean, it's going to be an interesting story, if you will. All right, so some other developments. Gates deplores Nigeria's health budget as too poor. Foreign aid withdrawal. Donor fatigue hits 331 PHCs. Over 400 staff puts North in dire straits. All right, donor fatigue hits 331 PHCs. Over 400 staff puts North in dire straits. NMDPRA awards gas training, clearing, and settlements licenses to JEX markets. Oando records 220 billion naira profit in 2024. Revenue hits 4.1 trillion naira. Defection rumors swell as Adeleke Fubara meet Tinubu in Lagos. Defection rumors swell as Adeleke Fubara meet Tinubu in Lagos. Well, if you are someone following the developments in Nigeria, you would know that it's a tale of defections. I mean, even people who have nothing in common with the center are defecting to identify with the center. And so Rivers, maybe you could say it's a foregone conclusion, because it might be something on the table and the reasons why he would keep his seat. At this point, you would say that it's only a matter of time before we see Fubara defect to the APC. And now to the Daily Trust's newspaper this morning. On the Daily Trust this morning, 20-year Emirates tussle. We accept verdicts, Jokolo's lawyer. Mokwa floods. Niger cancels Durbar as 1,610 children affected. Why we awarded gas trading other licenses to JEX markets. NMDPR. How hot money remittances drive Abuja's property boom. How hot money remittances drive Abuja's property boom. All the details you can find on the Daily Trust. Over 1.9 million pilgrims converge on Mount Arafat today. Over 1.9 million pilgrims converge on Mount Arafat today. Blackout looms in Abuja. 3 states as electricity workers give strike notice. Blackout looms in Abuja. 3 states as electricity workers give strike notice. Massive security deployment in states. FCT ahead of Salah. Kano farmers resort to manure over high cost of fertilizer. All right. You can find out the details on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And now over to the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper this morning, VIPs lobby presidency as federal government grounds 60 private jets. With the Rider Customs seal off aircraft hangars at Lagos, Abuja airports over import duty default. Salah, Mokwa Bridge collapse fuels tomato pepper price surge. Mokwa Bridge collapse fuels tomato and pepper price surge. Ram prices soar 55% as inflation bites harder. Lagos-Ibadan highway gridlock traps thousands. Salah, Mokwa Bridge collapse fuels tomato pepper price surge. Ram prices soar 55% as inflation bites harder. Lagos-Ibadan highway gridlock traps thousands. All the details you can find on the Punch newspaper this morning. And now to the Daily Times newspaper. On the Daily Times, Fitch downgrades Afreximbank as Orama's legacy is questioned. Fitch downgrades Afreximbank as Orama's legacy is questioned. Saraki to party faithful, PDP will bounce back in 2027. Saraki to party faithful, PDP will bounce back in 2027. Enugu government begins crackdown on bandits and kidnappers. Court dismisses £990 trillion suit against CBN and others. Nigeria security and political economy. You can find out the details on that this morning. And also, we could take on the front pages of the newspapers this morning. We have Chris joining us live in the studio. Chris, good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Charles. What a pleasant morning. How was your night?
It was good. It was good. Thank God for everything.
You're not looking as if you slept alone.
Well, like we say, a man who sleeps alone actually has a problem. You just have to sleep with someone. Don't worry. I know you always have a response to such. Let's go. So much to talk about, but the donor fatigue. Donor fatigue. You know, Nigerians are wonderful in the way they, especially these Nigerian headline, newspaper headline. Do they pay creatives to coin up their headlines and they say donor fatigue hit northern Nigeria? And what they were saying in simple terms is that donors have withdrawn funds in Nigeria, and the northern Nigeria is more facing the blunt more than anybody. They are now feeling the pain. You know what it means, Nigeria? That's why I said whatever goes up must come down. I've had a course of delving into development work. At the point, you find that all development works are happening in northern Nigeria. Mostly. Look through, 95% of development jobs and donor works are happening. And then when I made some inquiries, somebody pushed it and directed all donors and said that the only place that need help in Nigeria is north. So the man who faced, what they call the ant-infested firewood, we always have the pain. So remember my story about the man who gave one is one blow. And when the police came, he was called to the police station and said, you have given one is one blow and you have blinded the victim. Now you have to come and pay for one is one blow. So the North are paying for directing all development jobs in Nigeria and donors to come to North. And when they withdraw, they will face the blunt. So there are two ways. One thing about politics in Nigeria, they play politics with everything. I don't also blame people who have they are politically inclined. Their eyes are open. And most of the time they see opportunities with donor and they draw them to their own side. In the southeast Nigeria, you hardly find anybody in government because the people of southeast work out their salvation. Even their people in government do not have more to offer the people. People in southeast provide their water, their education. They build their own houses. When they are sick, they go to hospital and pay their bills. But they find some places they say they are fighting malaria. Like fighting malaria, you find that 90% of fighting malaria in Nigeria jobs and donors are directed to the north. So when they withdraw, and you know what it means of somebody having got used to giving you food to eat, and you never want to know how to get those food, or because they've used overrated fish. Teach me how to fish. But if somebody tell you how to farm and eat, when the person is not there, you will tell them, when my people did not have groundnut, we are not eating cow drops. So that is the situation with that donor fatigue. The donor fatigue is also a lesson for Nigeria. Once in a while, learn how to do certain things for yourself. I'll tell you, most of things that worked in Nigeria in the past were donor related. They were donor assisted works. When you see something work, because when they put little money, in as much as it's questionable, when they put little money, they want to follow it up and make sure they have some results to write, reports they will present to the Congress.
And then it's only when our scatterbrain Trump came, he started querying some of those Congress reports. 500 million Africans need water, and the USAID has provided it. You know, look at it. They find out that behind it that the USAID were also padding. They were also padding. If you put for water project in Africa, you pad it with other things. And quite recently, I'm involved in one international discussion where they're talking about illegal fund flows. Illegal fund flows and how it affects our debt burden. This is it. That some of this money they throw away here and come back to collect because they were not, the system abroad is not allowing them to get over bloated. When certain money enter the account, they will be taxed. So what they do, they look for where to put it in the name of donor. In Nigeria, Nigeria is always wide mouth open to collect donors more money. But now that some of them are withdrawing, that gap, that open mouth remains, and it's become a problem for us. The high cost of fertilizer. They say necessity is the mother of invention. Our farmers are turning back to manure, and that will make our food production organic, because even these fertilizers have become suspect. When they have high rise in the cases of cancer in Nigeria, they were saying some of the foods that we are producing, if they are not genetically modified organisms, some of the fertilizers we use are having either effect on the ground that produce the food or on the food that these fertilizers are seed to produce. The scientists and the experts will tell us more about this. But if the farmers have noticed that fertilizers are not affordable, that if they use $1 million to carve their teeth, when they smile, how much will they get? They now resort back to Mother Nature. And Nigeria incidentally has very fertile ground for our agriculture. With little peps, you still produce food that we eat. And then if you are thinking about these commercialized farms that cannot get fertilizers, it's also making them to look deep. There are so many ways to generate organic fertilizers, and we begin to grow our foods. Now, defection, when you are talking about that defection, Charles, I always say, Charles, these days you have to be careful. If you go home, know how to talk to your wife. Because if you come back home, your wife said, I've defected. I don't know what you're going to do. You will come back here and start telling me, Chris, I got home, my wife defected. This is season of defection, like you said. Anybody can defect now. You might be surprised to get to your church, find out the priest or the pastor of your church are defected. That is what he left. And that is the magic of Jagabanization of Nigeria. And that has happened in 225 AD, Ado Dominion, the year of our Lord. That Nigeria has come to a point where one man in the history of this nation came up, and his name is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Jagaban, who has brought a very unique political sagacity into Nigeria, a political sphere, and everybody is Jagabanized. And I told you yesterday that we need to begin to study where are the political scientists. They should go and study Jagaban, his political strategy, because even our wives are defecting, our priests are defecting, everybody is defecting. And I hope, yesterday we saw that there are already a crisis in the family that are the boss that everybody is jumping into, because the tires are getting weak. The brake is, squeaking, and somehow, what happened to where the houses, people will overburden the house and the house will collapse. They are looking for already made. They should watch out for fair weather defectors and one chance politicians who are just defecting. The only thing is that it's affecting even our household, that our wives are defecting to APC. APC, what did you give to Nigeria? Everybody is defecting. And even the worst of all, you hear certain names. Adeleke's name has been penciled down in defection. Then maybe the attraction is the man's Awilo dancing style. He will go there to give. So everybody who is going into ABC family is bringing something. If Adeleke comes here, he will bring his dancing acumen and strategy. And we all make, in a very big obi in Igbo land, no Kobi, when you have everything. You have criminals, big obi. you have peacemakers, you have strategists, you have prayer warriors, you have diplomats. You have all kinds of people in a big group. So when APC opened its door for defenders to come, because they say we need you, come, and we just want to win 2027. They should watch out for, because hey, come to my house, it's to follow up. So people who are jumping in are coming in with, some of them are coming in with a smelly body. Some of them have their clothes, they are not washed. Some of them come with over heavy excess luggage. I hope that the APC will be able to manage it. 60 private jets have been grounded in Lagos airport, and because they are not paying ground rent. This, you know why our Federal Capital Territory Minister has brought a new idea into Nigerian tax money-making revenue generation strategy. You have to pay ground rent. But when people have money, 60 private jets in one airport in Nigeria, and people are hungry, and these people cannot pay for. That's why I told you that these people are vultures and leeches. If you have a private jet, you park it in an airport, you can't pay ground rent. Probably they will collect from people who are using mole
it's quite expensive.
To go from one part of Lagos. Those tax they make from this. See where they are pursuing these drivers in Lagos. Those are the ones who pay the tax. The government of Lagos State, we used to maintain private jets parked in Lagos airport, because the ones who parked cannot pay government. And over time, they will sit over a cup of tea and talk it over. They go and remove their jets. If Lagos has become overrated, they will carry it to Akwa Ibom or take it to Enugu airport, all the airports, and still park it there. When the people there, the state there, say, hey, they park it, carry. Nigeria has a big landmass where you start moving private jets and park it. If it's not Asaba airport, there must be a space where they say, come, Oga, we can park your jet here. Nobody will hear about it. But thank God that some things happen in Nigeria. Nigeria has a way of air blowing. Smarter air will blow. You see the nyash of a chicken. Mokwa bridge collapse, and the problem is causing with security and food price hike, and Salah. Those things where Mokwa bridge collapse was because of the flood that ravaged Mokwa. So things were no more the same in Mokwa. Even bridges has collapsed. And then, if you know Mokwa strategically, that town Mokwa is a bridge from how food move beyond is a bridge Niger State and moving to southwest Nigeria. If you see the level of food that are moved through that route, even the ones that produce in Niger State and Mokwa exactly. Because when I was working with IITA, I remember Mokwa was very key when they go for production of beans. They have wide land that do well for cowpea production. So whatever is happening in Mokwa, we tell on Nigerians, because the Igbo say, Ometuimi, Ometuanya. And that's the reason why I was saying that Nigeria should make sure that what happened in Mokwa do not happen to other cities. And this middle belters of Nigeria, the food basket of Nigeria, if what happened in Niger State happened in any of them again, beyond the food terrorism that the bandits and terrorists has imposed on Nigeria, we are having double wahala for dead body. So the government should, they are moving somewhat, 2 billion naira has been voted, and they've asked how many bags of rice they are going to share. Now you see the hunters becoming the hunted. In Mokwa before now, nobody will ask you for food. Even if you visit Mokwa, they will give you a bag of beans as dash, because they are most farmers. But most of these farmers now, over 1 million of them cannot be accounted for. They're still playing like this. The ones that have died, they can say, but they're afraid to tell us the number of people. When they say 500, over 500 people cannot be accounted for, nobody, they're missing. That's another way of telling you. And what we are talking about is not like that is an attack, people run away, so you don't know where they are. Is the flood came and carried them away, and you're still looking for them. Go and take a deep dive at the River Niger nearby Mokwa, and you find some of those people.
It's just crazy. It's disgusting, in fact.
So that's about it. So now, when we are looking at some of these few issues that has happened, that's the little I have to say, Charles. I don't know whether I still have time.
Yeah, you still have time, but we'll have to get into this particular story, especially as it relates to the story on Enugu State. Enugu State is moving against the bandits, moving against Okite and Dibias.
Yes, I penciled it down here. Enugu State on bandits and terrorists. These people are not bandits. These people are not terrorists. These people are product of a bad society. It happened in Anambra State. We know the bandits, we know the terrorists, we know how they operate. No? Not when somebody has come and piped himself into a village where he grew up, he owns a house, and they find an opportunity within that village to start growing in evil and satanic act, and they start milking people dry and go to the point of becoming a dog that has begun to eat the bone hung on their necks. And the sad and gory stories that are emanating out of it. Thank God that the government is stepping on of it. But you know why it's very, I'm saying, people who set up as Mwadibias and Dezemwai, who are their patrons?
Do they have patrons?
You need to go to find out who their patrons are. They have. And I make bold to say, 50% of their patrons are politicians. Those are the people who require, if you are down, what do you really need for? Will they tell you how much these native doctors used to make Okite? It's not a business of a poor man. It's somebody who has gotten to a certain level of financial success and want to break Choi Buziozu. Not that he is hungry. He's not looking for money to eat again. He has gotten to a point where he either wants to ascend into higher visibility of financial success. That's it. Those are the people. There are some that they use to make up those jobless people. They will tell you they will making those are the ones who bring what they call recharge card money. The ones that bring billions to make Okite and make Ibobo are successful businessmen and politicians. So when you are handling them, you have to be careful. If they go and catch one of them and say, give us a list. Some of them giving list of their, as most of them are pastors and big church owners who want to remain relevant and drawing people to their church. So you tell you, it's like when you go into business of cocaine and drugs. If the junkie who hangs around where he gets your phone, he sells it to go and buy and pitch, they're not the ones who drive the business. The ones who drive the business are the ones who are moving with big cars and own big houses. And find it difficult to lock up that even security people will hardly notice. That's the confusion with Nigeria.
Yeah, but then what about the Anambra State issue? You know, it looks like the security situation has come down a little bit.
Come down a little bit is that if you want to dance up and get Chida, because it happened in a nearby state, there were stories of that they've jumped a ship like a Nigerian politicians. When this particular boss is getting issues, they say the engine want to knock. You jump into the one that is moving. That's what they do. Some of them will have moved into Enugu. But the ones we found that they reveal the issue that is happening are the ones who are not even jumped there. They are based. So here what happened in Ezagu that has opened up the eyes of the government to begin to look. But then the one that said, go ask them about who are their patrons. Let's start with that. Because in law, the giver of the bribe and the taker of the bribe are guilty. I don't know, I'm not good in law, but I hear words like alibi. I don't know what the meaning is. These are our learned friends have a way of getting you confused. So let me not say something that will make them say this man is not learned. So I am learning in my own way, my native intelligence. If you ask me of proverbs, I give you. But I'm not a learned lawyer or a liar. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris, for your insights on the program. As always, we would keep engaging with these issues with a view to bringing some solutions to it. We're back shortly after this break. To stay with us.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.